basically the weather shite today. That's what they say here in Ireland. So you can see back there in the window, it's just rainy and gray. And hi, you're listening to Carter Neal Holmes. This is my video on probably the best acting decision I ever made, which was coming to Ireland from New York to do David Scott's intensive applied art of acting course 2018. Woohoo! So I'm really just shocked that more Americans don't know about this course, because it's been fabulous. And I want to delve into what all that entails, because, you know, we hear compliments thrown around all the time, but this is a legit course. And if you watched my prior video on my journey to becoming a professional actor, this is going to be a huge part of the new roles that I'm going to get, because it's the first real structured education that I've gotten as an actor. So I started out, just a tiny bit of recap, because you can watch that other video, doing a lot of reading. And I knew that when I moved into New York City or moved to LA, that I would continue doing acting classes. And of course there are all the big name institutions like Stella Adler and Stanislavsky and Meisner, etc., etc. And if you go to one of those big schools, though, you want to know something. And I knew that for myself, then I needed to know something before exhibiting myself. One, just so that I had some stuff in my noggin, and then two, because I actually need to have a sharpened sense of acting technique that I can use going forward, so that I am a professional, and then I come across as such. So, I did a lot of reading, which is what smart actors would probably do. Start by reading. I didn't know much, and so I read Stanislavsky's Actor Prepares, and I know Stella Adler has her book. She's several, and I read those, and I didn't read much Meisner, but anyway, I read about people, and I read from the words of their mouth too, and it's great. You know, you learn that Stanislavsky was the father of realism, and so he went from melodrama, just like the over-the-top demonstrated emotion, to suggesting that we can instead actually portray real experience as actors, and that connects on a deeper level with our audiences. So, that's Stanislavsky, and the greats who came after him, Adler and Meisner, and Chekhov as well, they all drew from that realism, and they extended upon his teaching. And like Meisner was into method acting, which is drawing upon past experiences and past emotional memories, which is a chapter of Stanislavsky's book, An Actor Prepares. So Meisner took from Stanislavsky and went forward to delve into that method acting, which is something that a lot of the great actors did. Elizabeth Taylor and Jimmy Dean, and I think Rock Hudson too. I don't know, big names though. So anyway, you know, you can. Oh, and so Stella Adler did not agree with that, so she went a different direction. But all that to say that there are different schools of thought that are worth exploring as a professional actor. And even while you're working, you need to be in acting classes doing scene study work, just to stay warm and always keep learning, you know? So, I did reading on all those people, and there's a difference between reading and doing. And so I knew that I needed some intensive teaching. I do well in school, and so I applied to some grad school programs for acting, but one, I didn't get into where I wanted to go, which kind of spoke to me needing a sharpened acting technique approach, which ends up being individual, yes, but you have to get some formal education to get that. At least for me, that's what I need. So, yeah, so I applied to grad school programs, And I did a lot of reading there as well to see what their curricula was. And I thought, how can I, in an industry that doesn't require you to have professional education on the resume, you know, you need to be able to perform, but you don't need it on the resume, how can I get this without sinking $100,000 or whatever into an education and get it cheap and quick? You know, time is money, and I used to be all about the prestige. I thought about going to med school, and it's just not what's important to me now. So, yeah. So, I just lived life and got roles in small films and in community theater around New York City, and I was kind of, just looking, and I came across, while I was in Ireland for work with my day job, this program, Applied Art of Acting, that I just Googled acting courses, intensive, and it's a 3-month course. I originally thought it was in New York City, but then when I emailed him, he's like, "No, I'm in Dublin, hope you're still interested." And I went and auditioned on a day trip, just drove over to Dublin, and after reading over his curricula, I went into that audition and I was like asking about how is this going to be applied, and ironically the program is called the Applied Art of Acting. And so what he does is he does a review of all of the grades that I just talked about in the beginning of the course, and then we're assigned scenes. It's a 16-person course, so he only takes 16 people a year, and we work on scenes together, and we apply the technique that he and other European and Australian actors developed. There's 25 points to it to integrate all of what he sees as the most effective ways of using Stanislavsky, Meisner, Adler to create that realism that gives you key sensations. It all goes back to sensations because, you know, in real life we feel, and when we speak on top of our feelings, it comes across as real because it is real. It's our real experience. And so, yeah, let me just look down at my page here real quick because I had a few notes. So he started with the 3 pillars of acting, which are, and he does exercises for all these. It's really great because he like takes you through an exercise, and then he, after the exercise, helps you come to these conclusions on your own, and it really sticks that way. But the 3 pillars are play, confrontation, and romance. So in this exercise, we just picked a different person in the room, 3 different people, and it took a while. He didn't do this all at once, but you had to like play with one, and then you had to be confrontational to one, and then be romantic towards one. So much fun. Best icebreaker ever. And then he went over the 3-act structure, which is really cool because he uses his technique to show you that stage acting and film acting, the only difference, we get into it later on in the course, is not the technique applied for this realism. The only difference is how you direct yourself towards an audience. So yeah. And he talked about how with the 3-act structure, how there is the ideal world starting out. I'm just thinking of like Lord of the Rings, you know, like the Hobbits. Oh. And then there's the inciting incident, which sends the trajectory upwards towards the climax. And then there's the falling action as everything unfolds, and then there's the resolution. So whatever play we were looking at, or even film, we went through this and showed how you should be looking for this in all the successful films because it's there. It creates the energy, and so when you get a scene for an audition for stage, or you get a screen test, which we're doing bukus of screen tests now. Figure out where in the 3-act structure this falls, because that says a lot about the energy of your characters, and just having that in the back of your mind makes a big difference. So yeah, you went through Stanislavsky, Chekhov, Meisner, David Mamet, Stella Adler, Lee Strasberg, Emotional Memory, Michael Chekhov. Oh, we got headshots, which is cool. And then we started in our scenes. So I had 2 scenes. My first one was Pressure. And it's a scene where I play a general across from a British colonel. So it was interesting because he gave us roles that would really stretch us, and also roles that would make us marketable. So this is like an authoritative guy, and he went on to help me to develop a realistic character, because I'm not naturally, my essence isn't the most authoritative, macho, type A, alpha male, you know? Let's see here. And then my scene 2 was from The Crucible, where I played another type A male, John Proctor. So that's interesting as well. I won't get into that. But, oh, and then we got monologues and soliloquies as well. So he went into the difference, monologues being towards another character in the play, and a soliloquy being towards the audience. So I actually got a soliloquy, and he also applied to the 3-act trajectory in a good soliloquy or monologue. So there's usually an inciting incident, like we went through the To Be or Not to Be monologue from Hamlet. And yeah, so it's good to just know the shape. If you have the shape in the back of your mind, then you'll have the right energy and you'll be engaging. But all this still goes back to sensations. You need to have sensations, and you discover for yourself what that looks like. So then, given circumstances, these are the basics. You know, where are you? When are you? And where's your character at? I don't want to go through my entire book here, but I do want to run over what the gems of this are. So we also went through objectives, which is also basics. You know, what do you want to change in your character? So it's literally, what do you want your character to say, think, do, or feel? And it's always about the other character. And this is an issue that I had going into the course, that sometimes I don't anymore, but not engage in the other character. You always want to change the other character. That's the drama, and that's the driving force of the scene. And there's a core problem as well, which for me, coming into like screen tests, I'm handed a screen test. We've done like 10 of them now, but we're going to do more. It's really awesome to figure out how you want to change your character, but it can be difficult sometimes because you're just given a scene where 2 characters are saying words and they don't actually mean exactly what they're saying, which is real life for the most part. In interpersonal communication, there's always what's beneath the words and what our nonverbal cues are. And the nonverbal cues, which are most of communication, have to come from the actor, which means you have to understand what is required to communicate this scene. So, just look at I'm on a train to Dublin. So yeah, the core problem though is what I always read for now, because it's easier for me to see what's the issue here for my character and for the other character, and from that it's easier to get an objective how you want to change the other character. So then beats, of course, that's good for memorization, how you break up the passage to memorize it, extended imagery, and character memory / senses. So this gets into how you're getting into the mind of the character, because you need those sensations. You need to feel something. And he avoids going to Meisner's technique and Strasberg's of emotional memory with the method acting, and instead, so that you can act anyone in any situation, your imagination is enough. And so he has us stick to living in the imagination and living in the mind of the other character rather than bringing our own life into it, which can distract from being the character mentally. So, the extended imagery is within the text that you're given, whether it's a scene or a screen test. Building for yourself. We do a lot of thought exercises and meditation stuff as the character, and it's how I'll go into preparing for my scenes and screen tests from now on. But look at the text and develop images, whether it's visual, that's why I said the senses, whether it's visual, smelling, tasting, hearing, feeling, and the sixth, which is often overlooked, your attitude towards it as the character. And then character memories as well. So oftentimes there are surfacing memories, and they come up within the scene. Then there are past memories, like what came before the scene. And yeah, multiple objectives. I'm going through like the 25 points here. Archetype and antithesis. Multiple objectives, that's when you want more than one thing, which is pretty much real life, which going into the core problem helps with that. Developing your multiple objectives. Archetype and antithesis. Archetype, we have this in real life, it's like what you portray on the outside, and it's usually as a wall built up against what's on the inside, which is what you reveal after you're forced to, or you need something from another character. So just having that in mind, like what is the inner life of the character that he's hiding. And oftentimes the archetype will surface and like only be present, and then sometimes the antithesis will bubble up, or sometimes the antithesis will be completely present, like in the to be or not to be monologue of Hamlet. That's pretty much his inner life, and that's why that soliloquy is so powerful to bring the audience in, because you know he is bearing his heart, and that's really powerful. So when any character does that, it's powerful. And when we do it in real life, it's powerful, right? So, endowment. So that is when you go into a scene and you're obviously with another character, or if you're not, you're in a monologue or soliloquy, which monologue, you're with another character in the scene, except it's only you talking, or soliloquy, the audience is the other character. But you endow them with, after you've discovered what the core problem and objectives are, you endow them with what they mean to you as the character. And that's really powerful going into a scene. So I talked a moment about the difference between stage and filming, and how this technique is awesome because it applies to both in the same way. You still have objectives, you still have your core problem, you still have your beats when you're memorizing, you still have extended imagery, you still have character memories, you still have multiple objectives, you still have an archetype and antithesis, you still have endowment. And what makes them different, though, is how you're relating to the audience. So when you're on stage, you are talking to a large audience. It can still be intimate, but you have to speak up, right? So what's the difference? On camera, it's much more intimate, you know? Whether it's a close-up shot or it's a faraway shot, you're speaking to one direction. And even if you're not, even if I'm talking to the character over here, I'm still aware of the camera here. And that gets into what he calls triangulation. And triangulation is amazing. An amazing concept to get in your mind, just because you have a triangle, see? So like, I'm the character. Say you're the camera, and say the other character's here. So I'm speaking to the other character, and I'm still aware of the camera, hence the triangle here. And what this does is it makes, one, the camera your friend. You aren't scared of the camera anymore. And two, it also gives you an awareness, and when you're just aware of it, the body's amazing because it subconsciously adjusts itself to communicate, even if you're not directly looking. Does that make sense? It's fascinating to me. Absolutely fascinating. So, triangulation is going to work, though, in whatever shots you're going for in film. And that makes me very confident and brave on camera, because I now have a definite understanding of how to approach the camera. So, like right now, I'm talking to you like it's a soliloquy, like I'm bearing my heart to you, right? And if I were talking like this on camera, it'd be like a monologue, because I'm talking to another character in the scene, and you are a bystander. But I'm still pulling you in with my performance, because I'm aware of you there. You know, so people don't have a nice side of their face. That could actually be a big part of your planning for filming a scene. But anyway. My gosh, I forgot there was so much we did. If you stay to the end, I will tell you something special. We're now 21 minutes into this, but I'm going to keep going. So getting more into the mind of the character is 4 worlds. It's an exercise he does where you meditate, and you imagine 4 worlds for this character aside from the scene that you're already in, so you're given circumstances of where you are. And you imagine 4 different worlds with all those senses, and you just walk around there as that character. Then, to make me more like a general, which I don't feel like it's my essence, I'm more playful. Something important, though, that the top level actors do is an idiosyncratic transformation. What does that mean? It means that psychologically and physically, you make a list of separations, ways that you are different from the other character. And then once you've done that, you replace those separations with what you imagine the character to be. And it sounds complicated, but when he takes you through it, it's amazing. And now I can do it on my own. And he goes into, in the beginning of the course, fixing your posture, demanding great posture, demanding great diction, and then he has us with our physical and psychological transformations idiosyncratically to develop accents, develop a new way of walking for your character. And it's not like he's telling you how to do it, he's just leading you to the water so you can drink, per se. So he shows you how to use your imagination to imagine this character, and you realize that you have the capacity to be anyone if you open yourself and your imagination to it. Oh, something else is the character shower, to get us to be more.
Next station, Conway Station.
This is my last stop. I gotta get off here. But the character shower is when you take a shower as the character, and then you put on your costume as the character, and it just helps you get into the groove of it. And lastly, I suppose, since I gotta end it here, is the goal of all of this is to get to 3rd place. So, you know, when you're watching a movie, the reason a performance is effective is because the audience sympathizes with it, they feel for the character, or maybe they empathize, which means they feel the character's emotions. The more emotional of us maybe cry during movies, and that's more empathy, unless it's just strong sympathy. Either one, though. But 3rd place is different, because you do this homework that I've described, and then you drop into a scene, and you are able to just be in the mind of the character. And when you're in the mind of the character, you have all that laid out. The point is to be able to let go of everything that you've been doing, everything you've been concentrating on for homework. You have an anchor and a trigger. Hi, so you made it to the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. The video stopped in a discussion on 3rd place, which is getting into the mind of the character and letting go of anything else so that you are completely that character in thought process and response. It's just the state of being, and it takes the course, at least for everyone that I knew in it, all 16 of us, to get to that place where we know what it feels like to just rest and trust of our work, knowing the lines firstly, and then knowing the character so that we can go with our gut and not go with what we as the actor would do by that gut instinct, but the gut instinct of the character. So, I have found this to be applicable in daily life. You know, clear the mind noise. So that's why I loved the Zen practice so much. And also, I am starting to find that this is very helpful in my writing, and it will be applicable to piano and violin, no doubt. Clearing your mind and just being in the present. And that's something I could not have learned on my own, because I had to experience it to learn it. And so yeah, thanks for watching so much. Feel free to comment and share this, Facebook, Instagram. Also, contact David Scott. If you do, mention my name, Carter Neal Holmes. He'll know me quite well, and I look forward to meeting you soon, fellow actor, friend, and artist. Bye now.